It's really great to be here today. My name is Howard Lutnick, and I'm the chairman and chief executive of Cantor Fitzgerald. You may know me because 23 years ago, my firm was located on the 101st to the 105th floors of the World Trade Center. We had the best views. It was democratic views, meaning everybody who worked in the company had the greatest view from Manhattan to watching the arms of the Statue of Liberty. We hired people we liked. We had an unusual model. We only wanted to work with people that we like. So think about what I call this is a rainbow of friends. Think about your friends. You've got the ones on the left. Think of a rainbow. The ones on the left, smart, capable winners. We want to hire them. The ones on the right make you laugh in a bar harder than anybody else. Let's just kick to the ones on the left. So I was taking my oldest son, he's now 28, to his first day of kindergarten that day. So I was not in the building. We had 960 people in the building. Every single person in the building was lost that day, 658 people. I lost my brother Gary, he was 36. I lost my best friend Doug, because remember, I hired all of my friends, and so did everybody. We had 28 sets of brothers that were killed, and one set of sisters that was killed that day. So that night, we held a call of everybody who remained alive at Cantor Fitzgerald, and we said we have a choice. We can close the firm and attend our friends' funerals, because remember, that's 20 funerals a day, every day, for 35 straight days. Or we're going to rebuild this company, but there's only one reason to rebuild this company, and that's to take care of the families of our friends who were killed. So we announced we were going to give 25% of our profits to the families. And you know the press as well as anybody. At first, they lauded it. And then, within 2 weeks, they started ripping the firm. Imagine that. Ripping the firm that had 658 people killed because, 25% of nothing is nothing. And so we got attacked by the press. We just kept our head down. And here was the model we picked. Every employee we hired, we told them they had to give 25% of everything they made, their payroll. They all agreed to give 25% of their payroll to the families of those we lost. And over the next 5 years, we raised $180 million from our employees to the families of those we lost. So think about this. We got from being ripped at the press because 25% of nothing is nothing. I was named the Man of the Year for the Financial Times for 2001. The New York Times, that had ripped me, wrote a 1,500-word apology on January 3rd, 2002, basically saying we did what we said we would do. So how do I go on with my life? How do I become a successful businessman and entrepreneur after that? If my employees, and each and every one of my employees gave 25% of their pay to my families, they saved my life. They stitched my soul back together. So in 2008, I squared it with my employees. We took one of our divisions public. I gave, from my stake, I gave my employees 30% of the company, and they sold $180 million worth of stock. Each of my employees got back the money they had donated to the families, and they all got double. So where are we now? 13,000 employees around the world. Cantor & Company is an amazing investment bank, right? I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but we support digital assets. We support crypto. We are the best investment bank for digital assets. We have BGC Group. It's a public company. BGC, it is the most valuable wholesale financial service company in the world. Everything in the world, commodities, and securities everywhere in the world, wholesale, government bonds, corporate bonds, oil, natural gas, you name it. If it trades somewhere in the world, we trade it. And Newmark, also public, one of the largest commercial real estate brokers in the world. When you want to build data centers, when you want to finance debt, you come to Newmark. So those are my three companies. So what brings us here today? In July of 2020, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency said that banks could custodian and clear digital assets. So before that, I didn't know anything really about digital assets, right? So now if all the banks of the world, remember, I'm the biggest wholesaler in the world, all the banks can custodian and clear, I better learn about digital assets. So I go on a hunt to meet everybody that matters. I met Sam, I met Alex from Celsius, I met every criminal who's now in prison, I met all sorts of people. It was unbelievable. I mean, imagine I meet the guy from Celsius, right? And he says, I'm a new age bank, I take your deposits. And know what he did with the money? He bought mining equipment. See, I call that a nuclear duration mismatch, which means he has mining equipment and you can pull your money out any minute you want. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Of course, he's in prison. So, and then I met the people who owned Tether. And let me tell you, at that time, there were all these media haters and all these haters, and they all said the same thing. They said they don't have the money, and it's a Ponzi scheme. So I met Giancarlo, and I basically told him the movie line. I said, show me the money. Do you have the money? And he said he had it. So they gave us complete access to due diligence and to see and prove that they had the money. Now, I would tell you, when we found the money, and we found every penny, and they had every penny, but they had it in what I would call pretty God-forsaken places, right? They owned Chinese commercial paper at the time and other investments, because remember, interest rates were zero. Okay, interest rates were zero, and they needed to try to earn yield, and that's what they did. So I told them, after we verified every penny, I told them we would onboard them to Cantor, provided when these assets matured, this commercial paper matured, they would send the money to Cantor, and we would buy U.S. Treasury bills. So remember, we're the world's largest wholesaler, and Cantor is a primary dealer. A primary dealer is one of 24 firms that does business directly with the Federal Reserve of the United States of America. So we are authorized by the government of the United States of America to create liquidity on U.S. Treasuries instantly, all the time, including during the pandemic, including during the '08 crisis. The whole point of being a primary dealer is if you need liquidity on U.S. Treasuries, Big Daddy, the U.S. government, stands behind Cantor Fitzgerald and says, we are there for you. We will provide liquidity in every circumstance. So I can tell you with absolute certainty, that Tether USDT has every penny, and it can produce liquidity on a moment's notice because they have their U.S. Treasuries with Cantor Fitzgerald, a primary dealer who can create liquidity instantly. There are no limits. No limits on redemptions from approved primary customers, meaning they've KYC'd. No limits. So I'll give you an example. In May of 2022, Sam of FTX had obviously done a deal with Circle, right? And he sought to try to destroy Tether. So he amassed huge amounts, $10 billion of USDT. And then in May of 22, redeemed it all in 2 or 3 days because he assumed they wouldn't have the liquidity. But we had not announced to the world that we were holding Tether's treasuries yet. And we met 10 billion in redemptions instantly, because it's no big deal for us. We deal in trillions of treasuries. It's nothing for us. So Sam didn't know it, but Cantor redeemed it without a hitch. It was nothing. We were in the background because that's what we do. So in January of 23, I gave my first interview, and I made it crystal clear that Tether had the money and that we were holding it. It's not another thing. We hold their money. USDT is fundamentally different than USDC because USDT holds treasuries, and primary dealer Cantor Fitzgerald can liquidate those treasuries and meet your redemptions without fail. Think about it. Circle had $3.3 billion of your reserves uninsured in the Silicon Valley Bank when it went bust. Now, I've told you Tether and USDT holds treasuries, right, which earn like 5.25% interest. Why would you put $3.3 billion in an uninsured bank account earning 25 basis points, 0.25%, and be uninsured? Now, I don't have enough time to stand up here to tell you that story, so if you want to meet me afterward, I'll tell you the story about why I think they had it there. It makes no sense. So, obviously, Circle broke the peg hard, as you would expect, and so let's go through this for one more time. So Cantor is one of the largest electronic traders in the world. So I sought to be onboarded with USDC because we trade BTC, we trade USDT, we wanted to trade USDC. And after months and months and months of trying, Circle came back and said we could transact and we could create $1 million of Circle a week. And if we wanted to redeem, we could redeem $500,000 a week. Now, for one of the largest trading firms in the world, you know what that is? That's a joke. That's a trainee for an hour. So the answer was, we tried, and we can't redeem. So I don't know who can, but I would ask you to go check who can redeem with Circle and USDC. So Tether currently has $114 billion in reserves and another $11 billion of their own equity. That's $125 billion in assets, and they make sure they will take care of redeeming and backing one-to-one their reserves. They're the only one. They are U.S. Treasury backed. They have over 80,000 Bitcoin, so they are Bitcoin backed. They have 1,600,000 ounces of gold, so they are gold backed. There is one certain one-to-one backed digital dollar, and the name of that is USDT, and the name of that is Tether. So you know my story now. You know my brother was killed. You know my brother was killed by jihad. And so was my best friend, 658 people I cared about. So Cantor Fitzgerald knows jihad. So can you imagine a competitor of Tether saying that Tether is associated with jihad? Let me make it crystal clear. We would never, ever be associated with a company that has anything to do with jihad. And it disgusts me. It disgusts me. Someone parked a truck in front of my office saying Tether is associated with Hamas. What a bunch of crap. Seriously, outrageous and knowingly false. Knowingly false. Amazing. They said that Tether is owned by Chinese people. It's not true. It's owned by Giancarlo. He's Italian. Okay? There's a difference. So So I want to be unequivocal, okay? Tether does what it says it does. It has one-to-one. It's onboarded with 150 law enforcement agencies around the world. Why do I know that? Because when we formed our relationship with them, we helped them onboard those institutions. We helped them do it. As you all know, every transaction on the blockchain is traceable, and Tether will seize any amount of coin that is involved in illicit activity. They will be caught. So whoever said things about Tether, they're knowingly false, they know it's wrong, and it needs to go away. All right, so why do I care about all this stuff, right? I run Cantor Fitzgerald. Why do I care? Because I care about America and dollar hegemony, the dollar being everywhere in the world. So you've got $100+ billion held in Argentina, Venezuela, and Turkey. If we go to a taxi right now in Argentina and try to pay, they'll take Tether. If you go to Turkey and go to a grocer, they'll take Tether because they don't want the local fiat currency because we all know it devalues massively. So I care about the 300 million wallets that hold Tether because those 300 million wallets are financing the U.S. Treasury's debt, right? They're buying, every time someone buys Tether, Tether buys a Treasury bill, and we're financing the U.S. Treasury's debt. So emerging market distribution of USDT is fundamental for backing our debt in our country, which helps us live in this beautiful way. So let me talk Bitcoin for a little bit. I want to be clear. I am a fan of Bitcoin. Of course, do I own Bitcoin? Of course I do. Cantor Fitzgerald and all of its partners are a fan of Bitcoin. Does Cantor Fitzgerald own Bitcoin? A shed load of Bitcoin. My view is Bitcoin, like gold, should be free to trade everywhere in the world. And as the largest wholesaler in the world, we are going to do everything in our power to make it so. Bitcoin is the same as gold, and Bitcoin should trade the same as gold everywhere in the world without exception and without limitation. So Cantor is a rock star in the digital space, right? We support miners, we support power companies, we support data centers. We're here to support you if you're in the business of digital assets and crypto. We are here to support you. People, when I just walked in here, there were people coming up to me saying, thanks for the research, smartest research, best research. We're going to do all sorts of things that take care of you. So we are an investment bank that works hard for digital assets. We've raised billions of dollars, billions, for crypto and digital companies. I'll give you an example. Raised $100 million for BitDeer, $200 million for TerraWolf, Riot, Cypher. You know, we have a huge list. So if you want to do business in this space, you'll call us and you'll talk to us and we'll take care of you. We host an amazing crypto conference in Miami in November. Not like this, though. This is like rock star, man. This is like the best. Okay. So why do I say all this in front of you? Because today I have an announcement to make. Cantor Fitzgerald is here to announce that we are launching a Bitcoin financing business. We will offer leverage to those who own Bitcoin. We are going to launch with $2 billion of lending. And once we put out the $2 billion of lending, we will go up in increments of $2 billion. You have to realize Cantor and BGC, its largest wholesaler, we finance and arrange vast amounts. And we are going to now build that ecosystem for Bitcoin. So the moral of the story is we are going to welcome Bitcoin into the financing family of the global financial markets, and Cantor Fitzgerald is going to be your sponsor. We will build the best platform for financing Bitcoin. We will work with the best custodians. We are committed to your ecosystem of Bitcoin. So, in closing, we are Cantor Fitzgerald, and we will support Bitcoin. Thank you, everybody.
Next year, we are bringing the Bitcoin conference to the American West, Las Vegas. The brightest minds in the world will converge to deliver Bitcoin history. Buy your tickets now at b.tc/conference/2025.